El Chapo versus El Mencho. One man escaped prison through a mile-long tunnel. The other built a war machine that challenged the Mexican state itself. Now that the era of El Mencho has come to an end, we have to ask the question, who was actually more powerful? This isn't about who was richer. It's not about who was more feared. It's not even about who had the better nickname. This is about power, real power, control, influence, reach, structure. The two names who defined two eras of Mexican cartel dominance. On one side, the myth, the brand, the escape artist, Joaquín El Chapo Guzmán, leader of the Sinaloa Cartel, the face of modern narco power, the man who escaped prison twice. On the other side, the low-profile tactician, the militant strategist who built the most violent and dangerous cartel Mexico has ever seen, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho, supreme leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, also known as CJNG. Two different philosophies, two different definitions of dominance. If power is influence, El Chapo might be undefeated. At his peak in the early 2010s, Sinaloa wasn't just a cartel. It was the pipeline. Cocaine from Colombia, meth production in Mexico, distribution routes into dozens of countries. Chapo didn't just move product. He built systems. He used tunnels under the US-Mexico border. Forbes once listed him as one of the most powerful people in the world. Think about that. A trafficker on a global power list. That's not street power. That's geopolitical influence. And then there were the prison escapes. It felt less like crime and more like a Netflix show. But here's the key. Sinaloa wasn't built on chaos. It was built on alliances, federation-style leadership, corruption networks, political insulation. Chapo's strength was diplomacy backed by force. He preferred bribes before bullets. That's strategic power. Now enter El Mencho. No flashy interviews, no public myth-building, no Hollywood aura, just results. When the Nemesio Cartel fractured, Mencho didn't patch it together. He rebuilt it into something new. CJNG moved differently. Fast expansion, direct confrontation, heavy weapons, armored convoys rolling through cities, videos of masked soldiers in formation, drones weaponized for intimidation. This wasn't quiet smuggling. This was dominance by spectacle. Where Chapo operated like a CEO, Mencho operated like a field general. And by the late 2010s, many analysts considered CJNG the fastest growing cartel in Mexico. That's acceleration. That's momentum. That's pressure. Here's where it gets interesting. Sinaloa was decentralized. Different factions, regional bosses, autonomy within loyalty. That made it resilient. Cut off one head, the body keeps moving. CJNG was centralized. Mencho at the top. Tighter command, more vertical structure. That made it agile. Decisions moved faster. Violence moved faster. So what is more powerful? A diversified empire or a disciplined army? Chapo's network touched over 50 countries. He built generational wealth structures. Even after his extradition to the US, Sinaloa didn't collapse. It adapted. That's legacy power. Mencho's CJNG, meanwhile, reshaped Mexico's internal balance of power in under a decade. Entire regions flipped. Rivals were dismantled. Security forces directly challenged. That's disruptive power. Chapo dominated an era of globalization. Mencho dominated an era of fragmentation. Different battlefields, different rules. Here's something people don't talk about. Chapo became the face of cartel power. Songs, documentaries, endless media coverage. He became a mythology. Mencho became mystery. Less public, more elusive. Sometimes real power doesn't trend. It operates quietly. And sometimes the loudest name in the room isn't the most dangerous. When we zoom out, power isn't just about fear. It's about durability. It's about influence beyond your physical presence. It's about what survives after you are gone. El Mencho built one of the most aggressive cartels in modern history. But El Chapo built a structure that reshaped global trafficking routes for decades. And even from a U.S. supermax prison, his organization continues to operate. That's staying power. That's systemic power. El Chapo is our winner. Not because he was louder, not because he escaped prison, but because his influence outlived his freedom. And in the end, power that survives you is the ultimate power. Who do you think had the stronger empire at their peak? Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.
Delta 1.
Hey, ¿quién habla?
Mira bien, hijo de tu puta madre. Soy Mencho, güey. Relaja tu puta gente a la verga. Soy Mencho, güey. Relaja tus putas partidas. Si no, te voy a partir tu madre a toda tu bola de perros. Te tengo identificado 30 güeyes. Hasta tus putos perros te voy a matar si no te relajas, güey. ¿Cómo ves?
Ya está, señor. Ahorita los bajo.
Oh, no cuelgues, hijo de la verga. Te tengo ubicado en Chacala, güey.
No le estoy colgando. Le estoy diciendo ahorita los bajo.
Póngase bien las pilas, güey. ¿Qué se le cuesta ser amigo, cabrón? ¿Uno no se mete con ustedes para que se pasen de verga?
No, señor. Ahorita yo se las bajo.
Pongan, mire, revíremeles a todos los hijos de su puta madre, porque todos agarran dinero y son buenos de puercos.
Sí, es lo que me están
¿Se
diciendo.
me
Que
ponen a tiros o tú eres el primero que vas a marchar por ellos, León?
No, señor.
¿Vale?
No, señor, no se trata de eso.
Váyase a la verga, porque aquí los vergazos están al 220, ya se la sabe. Y miedo no hay.
No, señor, no se trata de eso. Ahorita yo lo sé.
Entonces, si quiere amistad, aquí va a tener un amigazo, cabrón. Si no, a chingar a su madre a la verga.
No, yo sé, señor.
Ya estoy hasta la verga de que no entiendan, loco.
Señor, usted me conoce. Usted sabe que yo soy amistad.
Pues por eso me extraña, cabrón. Yo te entiendo, güey, pero pues no mames, yo sé que tienes gente y la familia de chingada. Verga, póngase las putas pilas.
Yo lo sé, señor.
No quiero que me apagues este puto teléfono. Después te voy a marcar, güey. A ver si no se relajaron a la verga, ¿eh?
No, ahorita le voy a marcar.
A todos en general, güey. Relájenmelos a la verga, por favor.
Ahorita le voy a marcar de otro número a este número que me está marcando usted.
No, este ya no le vuelvas a marcar. Yo le marco cuando yo pueda.
Ándale, pues.
Pero no me lo apague porque lo voy a entender como negatividad.
No, señor. Ahorita le mando un mensaje de otro número para que no marque el otro.
Órale, pues, Melón. Ahí les espero eso, que se relajen a la verga.
Sí, señor. Usted me conoce. Usted sabe que hay respeto y hay amistad. Nada más
Ya
aquí.
está, igualmente. De aquí para allá también. Ahí disculpa por las malas palabras.
Aquí los muchachos
¿Vale?
son los que están allá y ahorita yo se los agrupo.
Ahora pues, ahí le encargo.
Ándale, señor.
Ahí relájenmelos a todos, dígale que va de parte mía.
Claro que sí, señor.
Ya está.
Ándale.